the QGIS Open Day for this month. We have 2 back-to-back sessions this month, so that's really exciting. So please stick with us for the sessions. If you do have any questions that you'd like to ask live, either in the YouTube chat, please type them out and I will read them as we go. Or please feel free to join the Jitsi meeting with the link that I provided in the chat. But please remember to join muted so that there's no background noise. And if you want to ask a question, you can come on mic. All right, so I'm going to hand over to Alexandra, who's going to take us through a really cool process for dynamically customizing the QGIS GUI, and it's using a plugin called QGIST Workbench. So I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Hello, everyone. This is a presentation I wanted to do some time ago because I'm using this workflow from some time, but I never have time to present at the open day. So I'm glad today I didn't have time either, but but because I decided to do it, I'm doing it. So let me talk to you about how I come here and what's the problem. I will share my screen here. Let's hope yeah, okay.
All right, there we go, I can see it.
So when we install QGIS for the first time, we have something like this. It's pretty clean. All the kind of basic, I like the way it shows. This is a clean installation. It has the browser to get some layers, to get some data into the QGIS, the layers panel, most of the most common tools. It's enough. There are people that say, oh, this is too complex already. For some people, it might be true, but for me, it's good. The thing is that after a while of you using it, it becomes more something like, oops, more like this, okay? So you get like, you start opening toolbars that you need for at some point, like, I don't know, advanced digitizing toolbar and other stuff. And it kept adding, you keep adding stuff to the GUI. And at some point you are doing something that don't really need any of those toolbars or panels, but they are there. And at the same time, you are kind of, maybe you need something to work with rasters and you don't have it here because you have been trying to economize space, but it always ends up like this, okay? Now, around...
You want to minimize the sharing toolbar. It's just sort of randomly there. You can just, yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Thank you. No worries.
So this is something that we debate. Everyone, I think, debates with this. And we do have in QGIS the profiles, and the profiles can be used for this. So you can have a profile with a very clean profile and a very complex profile. But then you need to manage the plugins that you have installed differently in each profile. You also need to all the connections to databases and all stuff like that. And you always need to restart QGIS to start a new profile. So it was not very useful. So back in 2019, there was this presentation in Fosforgy, enhancing and redesigning QGIS user interface, a deep dive. I will share the link then for you to see. We can put it on YouTube description, I guess.
Yep, sure.
And the guy presented a very cool plugin called Workbenches. And the idea of the Workbenches, and I will show you right away, was to have different configurations of your GUI interface. By the time it was proof of concept, and he just talked about it. And at some point, he kind of mentioned that one of his favorite softwares was Blender, which had a very nice interface. And people kind of almost laughed about it. because the interface of Blender is really complex, and but at the time I didn't understand what he really meant. So I forgot about this plugin until some like 1 year ago or something. I needed to use Blender, so I have been learning a bit of it. Uh, and there was one thing that Blender does that I really like, and is the idea that Blender, like QGIS, is a very complex software, and you can do many different things in it. And the way Blender developers did was to kind of separate uh, the workflows or the tasks that you're doing in different layouts. So, for example, if you are doing BIM, you have the object. I don't even know the names of this stuff, but you know, like the object explorer here, you have the main window here. But if you change for sculpting, you can see that some panels, they just move from places. It's the same panels, but maybe just looking different. Some tools appear, some tools disappear. And that's when I really understood what he meant by how good the Blender interface was. Okay, so, and now let me see if I can. So that's when I started to play with that plugin. Is a plugin called QGIS Workbench. Okay, uh, it's not being very maintained, or there is no updates recently for it. But I find it still useful when more than presenting a solution. I think this plugin, which works, I use it daily, but it's not perfect. It shows an idea of something that we could have on QGIS, either through this plugin that we could improve it, or core. It doesn't matter. But let me show you how this works. So, um, and what I wanted also to, something that lacked on his presentation at the time, um, was examples, working examples. So he mentioned the idea, but we weren't able to see any good examples. So that's what I tried to do, following the idea of Blender, and I tried to create a few different interfaces. Not all work perfect, but so this is the normal interface with lots of stuff open. Well, I exaggerated a bit. Most of the times I don't have all this open, but most of the times I use my workbenches that I prepared. So let's start with one that is called clean, and this would be like the interface for people that don't know how to use GIS. So basically, what we have here is like we have the layers panel. We have create a new project, open a project, save a project, load some data, but it's kind of hidden here. I didn't add the browser either. The idea is someone loads a project, and this is what they see. They can zoom and pan. There are all the most basic tools here. And this is a very clean interface for people that they just need to open a project, see some data, and go on. I don't use this one, but this is one of the ideas. Then let me see. Then I prepared one for data loading and exploration. So this one, we can see that we already have some toolbars. I kept, actually, there are a few too much that I had it here. It's a bug. Okay, something like this. And so what we have is like all the toolbars that allow you to load data in the most efficient way. We have, so this one is the old toolbar that people used to use QGIS knows, but it's still handy if you want to load data quickly. We have some adding spreadsheets from the add spreadsheets layer plugin, adding OpenStreetMap with quick OSM, the database manager. I added here also the margin toolbar, just because I think it's useful for reloading data. The browser, the layer panel, and then on this side, I have like the identify results and statistics. If I want to select some data and see what values it has. So it's a kind of simplified interface, but still with lots of stuff. And notice that using this plugin, I can show you later how to do this. You can simply swap from one thing to another, and you don't need to close the QGIS and restart like in profiles. Okay, it's always your own profile. It just shows different things. Going to another one, I called it data analysis and processing. I must confess, some of these I don't use that often. So in this case, I kind of, for data analysis and processing, I kind of hidden the browser, making more space for layers and layers that are processed. And then I want to show the result, see the result and stuff like that. I put the processing toolbar here in the results view. So there are some tools in processing that returns results here. And sorry, this toolbar is always appearing here. It shouldn't be like this. Okay. But it's also a cleaner interface. Again, this is not one that I use very often. Then I have one for layer styling and cartography. And in this case, I added some toolbars for controlling rasters. If I have a raster, I can control the bright and stuff like that. I add some simple digitizing tools, because when you are doing cartography, sometimes you need to draw something quickly. The labels, obviously, the layout loader, and obviously this really depends on the plugins that you use. Quick OSM, sometimes you just need to grab some data to add to your map. And obviously the big important thing here is the layer styling, with lots of space here so that I can select my layers and change the symbols. Today I was playing around with styles using the properties, and I don't know, I still see people on training opening profiles properties to change the symbology, because they don't, I don't know, they don't know, they don't like layer styling. This is a huge contribute from Nathan, and it's really, really cool. The ones that I use the most. Sorry?
It's one of my favorites, being able to have it on the side there and see things live as it happens. Perfect.
Yeah, but I still see people double clicking the layer to trying to change the style, and then clicking apply, and then clicking OK. And it's really,
the multi-click workflow versus 2 clicks.
yeah, or no clicks almost. Okay, so entering in the ones that I really enjoy and I really use. So one of those is digitizing. So digitizing, when I am doing some digitizing work, there are lots of toolbars that I need. So in this case, I kept the editing toolbar. Obviously, I keep the minimum of adding some data if I need, but then I have the snapshot, the snapping toolbar, which is very, very important. Some mesh editing tools. These belong to a plugin that I use for digitizing as well. Digitizing, editing vector data, let's call it like that. And then we have, let me just, I can just maybe edit some data so that we can see it live. So I had the advanced digitizing toolbar in here, so I can save some vertical space. I have the advanced digitizing panel here. On this side, I kept, actually this is a bit too much. So I still have the processing toolbar because I like to use it with the in-place editing mode. This is something else that I don't know if that many people know that exists, running some tools directly on the data without creating a new layer. This is huge as well, and I like to have it here. I have like the undo and redo, so if I can create the row, some line. Actually, it's going to take too much to. I could do something easier, but yeah. Okay, so I have here the undo toolbar, which is also useful in this case. And I have the node tool here. So I have everything I need for digitizing available, okay? And when I need to do something else, I can just go away and well, this is not a good one. Go to any other layout of the interface and everything is gone. And this is one of my favorite ones, the ones that I use the most. Okay. Moving to another example, maybe the development one. This is also another one that I enjoy a lot. In this case, the important thing is not the layers or the map. So everything is like the map is very small in here. I added the debugging development tools in here so that I can see like queries that I made with PostGIS and other useful information. I still have layers in here in the browser, but they are not very important. In the middle, the big place is the Python console with the scripts open, and it's in a very centralized place. So it's cool. And I have like the log messages panel in here because you can obviously see lots of information while you are testing stuff. But I almost eliminate almost everything. I also added a custom toolbar for showing the reloading plugin, which is also very useful when you are um, developing a plugin and then you need to reload it to try it out after some change. So it's very useful. There is a problem with this interface, which is the Python console is not considered like an actual panel. So I always need it when I start a new project. If I change for development, I always need to open the Python console and put it in the right place. It doesn't stick to the place I would like it to be. But hey, that's okay.
I see on the online chat on YouTube, Spatial Thoughts is giving you a +1 point for the undo redo toolbar being accessible while editing. They appreciated that.
Yeah, I was actually I think I never used that before until I was trying to see what would be nice to have on each type of GUI interface, and I discovered that there was a undo redo, and now I use it a lot. It's useful at least for you to see how much you have done before you save or something like that. It's nice.
Brilliant stuff. And then there are just a couple of people that are greeting from all over the world. We have people from India, the UK, Portugal, Senegal, and Turkey.
Nice. Okay, so one more. So digitizing, layer styling. Okay, I think I'm missing the 3D visualization. This is the most unworking one because, like I said, not everything work as predicted. But this is how I would like to have it. So I would have a new 3D visualization. Oh, I think I did it. Okay, so I would make it a panel. Oops, where did it go? Sorry. And I knew that this could happen. Okay. And I would do it something like this. So the main window of 3D, sorry, my computer is getting crazy right now. Okay, so this would be my main 3D viewer. The 2D map would be secondary, so it would be just put on the side here. This is getting okay. But this doesn't stick. So whenever I want to use this 3D visualization, I always need to come in and open it. It's getting very slow. I don't know why. I pressed stuff too fast, I guess. I would also add like the elevation profile. And this is another one that doesn't work as I would like to. Oh, sorry. So it's being very stubborn. Doesn't want to do what I want. Okay, it would be like here, like this. And this would be nice. I will have the big window for 3D. I have the profile tool here. I can draw a new line here and see. Actually, I don't know if I have some data here. I guess not, but I would see the 3D profile here. And I can work with the 3D here while I see the information on this side. It's getting really slow when I open the 3D map. So let's see if I can close this so I can show you how this is done in terms of, we just close the 3D map and this should help. Okay. So the way this works in terms of the plugin is just you're just using this tool here. There is you can create new configurations, and they call it workbenches. And then you create the new with whatever name you want, and then you can come here and edit, turn on and turn off whatever you want from the toolbars and from the dock widgets. And then you save it, and then it's available here. You can also, if you have, for example, I'm in the, I don't know, clean one, and I want to add the annotations toolbar to this. I can do like this, and then I can save this clean interface. And now if I go to this one and I go back to the clean, it gets there, so it saves. There is another tool that I have used, and it's from the same guys, and it's called the QGIST Toolbar Generator. The idea here is that you can create new toolbars with all the tools that you have available on QGIS. Actually, there is a discussion for including this in QGIS Core, I think. There is already some development, I think. So this part, I think it's going to be addressed really, really soon. The idea is there are, from a single toolbar, there might be one button that you want to have, but then there are a bunch of others that you don't care about. So you can create your own toolbar and add it to your interface without needing to add the rest of the stuff. And you can connect it to one of the workbenches, so you can use different toolbars for different workbenches. And I think that's it. This is what I wanted to show, to talk about. Let me see if I can stop sharing my
I think
screen.
this is absolutely brilliant. It kind of feels a little bit like you're creating user roles within your project. And I think this is so useful and powerful. I worked on a project, Tim and one of our teams were working on a project where a country in Africa was doing some land tenure, and they had like 3 different people who were using the same project: digitizers, reviewers, and I forget the other user role. But it would have been so useful if I could have basically personalized QGIS for each user. The digitizers only needed to digitize; they didn't need the tools that the reviewers needed. So my question there is, if I was making that kind of project, could I ship? So they needed it offline. So they needed the project and all of the data with the project in like a zip folder to send to their teams. Could I ship this with my project, or would the people still have to download the plugin? How would that work?
People would need to download the plugin and import. There is actually I didn't show, but there is a export and import tool that you can use to save your configurations. But they would need to install it and install those configurations and select them. For that kind of workflow, I think even the profiles might be handier. So you create a profile and you ask some person to install that profile, and it's stuck to that interface. In here is more like you do so many tasks as a GIS expert. Sometimes you are doing lots of digitizings and then you are doing nothing about digitizing. So, and having everything there at the same time, it's overwhelming and it's confusing and it's wasting space. If you have a big screen, it's not that big. It's not that of a big problem. But when you are working on your laptop, it's always sounded me like I was wasting space. But at the same time, when I start closing stuff, 5 minutes from that, I was like, oh, I wish I had this button here. So that was the idea. And I think it would be something nice for us as a community, as a project, to think about this and what could be done in terms of how dynamically could we change our interface for the task that we are doing at each moment.
Absolutely. I'd like to open up for the people in the room. Do you have any questions or comments? Or you just want to say hi?
Hi, Amy. If I could throw out a thought, one of the things I see is a challenge often. We use QGIS as kind of a backbone for users. We have our primary application that we support, that we build, and then if there's something we don't have built in, QGIS is a beautiful backbone that we can say, well, here's a set of tools you can use to do that. The challenge is you're often dealing with users who are not GIS specialists. We call them experts in other things. They're just trying to get jobs done.
Of course.
So the challenge is often the discoverability of things in QGIS. In other words, there's so many things there that it can almost appear noise level to a user. It's kind of like all channels on at all times. So if there was some way to manage the discoverability of this based upon the user going from generalized to a specific job, and it's almost like, I hate to use the phrase because someone's going to use it in every discussion, is talking about artificial intelligence. And that is using AI to help drive through workflows that a users may follow to restructure the interface to make things more discoverable, to help build some hierarchies in what a user's trying to do. I think the challenge there is now you throw a large language model at it, and I could see pretty quickly where that can break down, and it could start running in so many different directions that you lose the ability to keep people solving the primary job of making it discoverable to do specific tasks. Does that make sense?
Somewhat. I get a little bit lost in the world of AI, I have to admit.
Yeah, I guess maybe a bad analogy would be, think of role player gaming. There's a concept called railroading, where you have a game, but really you're going down a fixed path. But if you think about most jobs, most users have to do, a fixed path is suitable. You can group many jobs into a few generalized jobs and think of, what are the most common problems people are trying to solve, what are the jobs they're trying to do, and break it down into simplified workflows, and then using a hierarchy of maybe artificial intelligence based upon some prompts, some queries from users as what they're trying to accomplish, then you could semi-automate the user interface to expose things users may want to do without 20 toolbars being visible. Just a thought.
Oh, absolutely. Hi, QGIS AI. I'm a digitizer and only need digitizing things.
Actually, that's nice what you said, and there is in that presentation that I will share with you as soon as possible for you to share on the description of the YouTube. He also mentioned another tool. I think it was OpenCAD. And one thing about OpenCAD, which I think it's something I haven't tried myself, but I think it would be worth trying, is if I'm selecting a vector layer, why should, so we already have like all the toolbars and you are selecting the vector layer and all the tools that are not accessible from the vector layer, so like raster stuff, and they are all grayed out, right?
Yes, contextualizing tools.
Yeah. Why don't we just make them disappear instead? There are a bunch of software that does that. So if you are selecting a vector layer, only the vector tools or the vector buttons, let's call it like that, they will be showing. If you change to another layer and you can do the same if the layer is editable or not editable. So we could close and show stuff depending on what is happening in the computer. Obviously that it might, this is just ideas, of course. It might get even more confusing for people. Oh, where is the pencil button? Oh, it's not there because you are not selecting a vector layer. So there is no, but yeah, it's just some ideas.
Yeah, just thinking in terms of, imagine Microsoft before the ribbon was invented. If AI had been created before they created a ribbon UI, then maybe it would have worked from its first iteration. Just thought.
Brilliant stuff. I do have a question from the live chat as well from Grune something. That's my Afrikaans coming through there. But they say, great plugin. I wish I knew about this earlier. Question, would this plugin need a big update with Qt6?
I guess it will, as all plugins. And one important thing is that I'm not the developer of this plugin. I'm just using it. But I think for Qt6, everyone will need to update their plugins. So.
Alrighty, and then or OM in this meeting asks, is this workable for QField?
I have no idea. I know that QField uses plugins. You can create plugins, but I think it's yet another. So you can create plugins for QField, but it's not using the same tools as we use for desktop. So you need to adapt for QField.
Brilliant stuff. And then Oleg is keen for this feature to become part of QGIS Core because it's so awesome.
It would involve a lot of work still. Okay, so this is still like it's still in the phase of working idea. I use it; it's useful, but it has some quirks. Sometimes it just throws some weird messages because you kind of added a toolbar that doesn't have a proper name in Qt, so the plugin doesn't know where it is. But it's just a base for some ideas, some discussions. I think at the time that presentation was done, people weren't able to, or at least I wasn't able to see the full potential of that plugin, and just that's why I decided to present this, because I think it's useful.
Brilliant stuff. Groeneweg, again, sorry if I am I'm butchering your name. Second question: this plugin is only about is this plugin only about toolbars and panels, or are there other UI elements such as the status bar or other available menus that I can use?
No, currently is just the toolbars and the dock widgets that you can use. And there are some dock widgets that doesn't work. Like I said, the 3D maps, they don't stick in the place. You always need to restart them when you restart QGIS and replace them. The Python console, there's probably some differences in the way they were created originally. But I guess if we really interested into this, we could make an effort to make all those things work well with this plugin or whatever development.
And anything for WMS lists, because they're tied to the profile and other profile settings. So is that even possible?
Sorry?
So it's Hruna asks, what about changing WMS lists, which are tied to your profile and other profile settings? Is it even possible to change profile elements on the fly in QGIS?
Oh, I don't know. The plugin doesn't do it, but maybe it is. You can do it with profiles, but not on the fly. In this case, it could be trickier because those lists are saved in QGIS configuration inside the profile. So I don't know. But I enjoy the ideas of people thinking of other ways that they could make their interface cleaner. I have I don't know, 20 PostGIS connections on, and I don't like them, but I need to to have them there. So it could be nice to just say, hey, I'm working with this client on this project, and everything is trimmed down to that.
All right, great stuff. And I see Geomondigo in the chat says, for QField, you must develop in QML or JavaScript, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Alrighty, great stuff. I'm definitely going to try this out, particularly for the map digitization sort of user role, for want of a better word, as well as making my own sort of cartography GUI. I think that's really, really useful. I like the idea of just having, the make map pretty tools.
I will export this configuration files, and we can put it on the YouTube so that people can try to use this already pre-made configurations. But I guess that each person will have to find their own tools that they really like to use and customize it.
All righty, good stuff. Earlier on, you mentioned showing a link to us. I can't remember if we did show it.
Now I will have to. So this is the original presentation. Maybe that's what.
That's the one.
Let me see.
All right. If you send it to me, I can then pop it into the live chat as well.
Yeah, I put it in
Perfect.
Here for now.
Got it. All right, great stuff. If there aren't any other questions, then I can give everyone a couple of minutes to go and grab a cup of tea before the next session. Or coffee. I'll accept the coffee fans out there as well. All right, brilliant stuff. Thank you so much for a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Keen to go and play with this and try it out. And hopefully we'll see you in the next presentation, and perhaps further down the line, these things do become a core part of the code. Much further. I know there's a lot of work to be done.
Indeed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Alrighty, we are offline. Thank you.